Hello students, in today's video class, we'll understand the poem for class 10th. The title is A Tiger in the Zoo. The poem has a very common central theme as we could see in the chapter Nelson Mandela, and the theme in this chapter is again the same about freedom. So let's start the chapter. The poem is composed by a Welsh poet, that is Southern Britain's poet, uh, Leslie Norris. So he was a prize-winning Welsh poet and short writer as well as he is considered one of the most important Welsh writers of the post-war period. He his collection of stories are also famous and he could secure bag many prizes on such same theme. So let's start. The introduction part is given. The poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo. So contrast here means when we compare two things, two animal or two things on some dissimilar qualities. So it is quite opposite to compare. So compare and contrast are quite opposite words. So it contrasts the poem the tiger in zoo and the same time next time tiger in natural habitat. So you will find to it that the poem first is in set in zoo or cage, then the poem is set in jungle, again the poem comes back in the zoo finally. So means finally the animal is actually in zoo in the cage. First stanza. He stalks in his vivid strips. He here means that animal, and the animal is tiger. So he stalks, and stalks means to walk in a slow mode, walk slowly or walk in a pride, elegant manner. So his walk is very majestic, and but he is only walking inside the case, walking through the distance of the case and a few steps. And why he is taking a few steps? It's very clear. The zoo is very small, and the cell, the cell or the box where he lives is very small again. So he takes a few steps only, and he walks on his pads of velvet quite. Quite here actually not means quite. His steps, his feet are not quite, but he is quite. And he walks on his pads means his feet, which are velvet means very soft and spongy. And he is in quiet race. The animal is in quiet race. Rage means anger. How an animal can be in quiet rage? He is very angry with the people. He is in high level of anger, but still he is quiet. Means it describes his helplessness. He is in anger, but still he is quiet. He cannot do anything. Means he is inside the bar. There's a very good figure of speech in this phrase again, quiet rage, and it can be oxymoron. Oxymoron. When two opposite words are used in one way, one line, we call it oxymoron. In the first line, vivid strips. So strips are described vivid means very clear, very lovely. So we can say it's personification in this. We call lovely to those strips. The quality of being lovely is with described on the strips. So it is personification in this line. Let's work on the rhyming scheme. Strips, case, quite, raise. So you can see there is one thing very common, case and raise. So the rhyming scheme will be A B C A, A B C, and this is followed in other stanzas too. He should be means the animal is not in jungle. He should be means he should have been there, but actually he is not there. What he should be doing means the poet has pity on animal and he want to see him free state, in the free state of him. So he says that the animal should be lurking. Lurking means sitting to attack. Lurking means sitting to attack on, and shadows means in height. Hide of in shadow of some tree, just behind some bush. What he should be doing? Tiger should not be only roaming inside the prison, but the tiger should be roaming around in the forest, and he should be actually doing sitting to attack, sitting to prowl over some animal. And what he should be doing in second stanza? He should be sliding through long grass. He should walk slowly in a very majestic way. As he moves very slowly and slowly in a majestic manner, he should be walking through the grass near the water hole. He should be in free space. And where he should be walking, it's his general tendency that he walks where he could find his animal of prey. Where plump means healthy, stout animal means that is deer pass. So in the first stanza, the poem sets in zoo. In the second stanza, though the animal is in zoo, but the poem sets in forest. The background in the second stanza is forest. He should be snarling around houses. He should be, again, he should be means actually he is not there, but he should be, in opinion of poet. The animal should be snarling means growling, roaring around houses. The animal should be free in jungle. He should be roaring around jungles as near about the border. The borders, where the borders of the jungle and the village meets, we call it jungle as. So the animal generally walks around, and generally after the growling of or roaring of such animals, you see people means uh, going to or running to safe places. So he should be making people scare off, and with what? With his sound, with a third line. It's given in third line. Bearing his white fangs, it white open fangs means teeth, and his claws means people should be. He should be terrorizing people by showing them their snarling growing, by showing his teeth, by showing his claws, and this way he should be terrorizing the village people. But he should be, it means actually he is only inside some cage. So the poet has much of sympathy on for this animal. Again, if you make out the rhyming scheme in this stanza, you will find the same. Houses, as, clause, village. So somewhat it's again same ABCB. Okay. In first stanza, I just forgot to explain one more thing. You can see repetition here. There one word that is repeated two times, quite and again quite. So repetition is just to give the mm, musical rhythm as well, and secondly it shows the intensity of the quality that is quiet, means he is all the time quiet. It shows his pathetic poor condition in the jail, in the prison. But he is locked in concrete cell. So in fourth stanza, you can make it out very easily that the animal is in, not in jungle, but he is in cage. Actually he is only in cage, but in two stanzas he is supposed to be, or he is just imagined to be in jungle. He should be there, but actually he is not there. This is irony. But he is locked in the concrete cell, and that is the cell, the cabinet inside the zoo. And his strength behind bars. His strength behind bar means he is a very strengthful animal, but his strength is just suppressed, just captivated inside the bars of the zoo. Stalking the length of his cage, and he stalks. Stalking means I earlier discussed with you. Stalking means just walk, and he's walking. He's not walking that much. He's only walking up to the length of his case. This much only he can walk. Only the length of the case he can cover. Why he is covering only length of the case? It tells that the case is very small. That is not a very big case. So he cannot even walk inside it very freely. And he is ignoring visitors. There's a big question that comes, why he may be ignoring the visitor. There are two, three reasons. Why, if we ask the question why he may be ignoring visitors. So, as he feels them unfeeling fellows, he does not see any feeling in human beings. The visitors who come to see those animals, they generally come, click some photos, and they go. So he sees them as very insensitive people. He does not see any feeling in them. That's why I called that he sees them as unfeeling fellow, and he lost all hopes from them of any help. So he does not see towards them, he just ignores them. Now let's move to the last stanza. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Again, the rhyming scheme, you can make it out. It's again same. It's A, B, C, B. Little change here. So he hears, and he at night, that was the day earlier it was described. Now at night he hears the last voice, and that is of patrolling cars. Patrolling means the people who make round. The daily duty peoples make round. So their car's voice is the last voice that he hears. And then at night he is all alone, lonely. Then he stares only to the stars. And his eyes are also brilliant, means bright, and nature, that is stars, they are also bright. So he looks at brilliant stars, means so he hears the last voice, that is of patrolling. He's all in loneliness, he's not happy there. That is why he was described all quiet all the time in the prison, only take some few steps. Otherwise, you know that tigers are known for their race, for their running, but here he takes only, means he's not in a very happy state of mind. So he stares, means he gazed at, he all the time keeps looking at brilliant eyes. He does not look toward the visitors or other surroundings. And why he looks at the stars? This is again a question. He looks toward the stars in the night because they are free. Stars are very free. So he sees he is longing for his freedom, for his liberty. Number second, he looks toward the brilliant stars. The reason is that he has lost all the hopes from the human now, and he have had all hopes from heaven only now. Like in chapter Lancho, you remember that when he lost all the hopes from the people, then he had only one hope from God. So he looks towards heaven. Similarly, he looks towards the heaven or the stars. He had only hope. He lost all the hopes of his help from the human beings. And again, if you see the figure of speech, so brilliant is used two times here, brilliant and brilliant. Again, first though it is to add the musical quality in the story, in the chapter, and secondly, the repetition of words actually show the horrible situation or the intensity of his situation here. Like his eyes are also brilliant, stars are also brilliant, and they are described, all both natural bounties are described as brilliant. So nature is every time brilliant, and that is free. So he is longing for his freedom. So it has a very strong theme that's all about freedom. And if you work about the mood of the poet, the poet's mode of writing, we can call it is very intelligent. That he describes one animal in the case in the both the situation where he should be. So it is a big question mark on human and his tendency of binding of captivating animals. So we all should have feelings, compassionate nature towards the animal. They have also right to live there, to lead their own life. I hope you must have enjoyed this small poem in this small video. Thank you. You are expected to do exercise based on this. So in all, we could find out in all three figure of speeches in this poem. One was repetition in the last stanza or in the first stanza. Secondly, it was in the first stanza, fourth line, quiet raise, oxymoron here. And in the first line of first stanza, vivid strips, it was telling like personification. Thank you for listening. Please do revise the things again.